Hello and welcome to the Trent and Mersey Canal at Fradley Junction, where a small workboat is being prepared for a day of activity. The crew aboard are all part of the Fradley lock-keeping volunteer team, but it's not locks they're dealing with today, but overgrown vegetation. Step 1 is to climb into the engine bay and make sure the boat is going to run properly and take them all to the site of today's work party. On the roof lie bits of safety gear. I too was issued with a hard hat, you'll see why in a moment. And there's more gear in the front section, along with a ferocious machine that would be a key part of the day's endeavours. With the engine fired up and getting the oil moving around, it turned out there was a bit of water in the bilges which needed pumping out. That's accomplished quite simply by lowering a 12-volt pump into the dank depths, wiggling it around until it gets suction on the water and letting it spew over the side. Don't worry, it's relatively clean, or as clean as canal water ever is. Up at the bow, the team prepared their weapons for the destruction that lay ahead. The man in charge gave me the gist of what was going on.
We're a group of lock keepers, basically, from Fradley, who started a number of years ago during the winter season when it was closed down, doing bits of vegetation and bits of maintenance with the customer services team. And it just became something to do 1 or 2 days a week over the winter period. Get you out the house, and on a day like this, who can say there's anything wrong with that? But we enjoy doing it. It keeps the canals working. We get a bit of exercise, and the crack's pretty good as well amongst the groups, which is one of the main things.
Before everything got going, there was a team briefing with notes about safety and what was in the plan for the day. That done, we set off. It's like the Fast and the Furious, but without being either fast or furious. Almost immediately, though, we hit a snag, as the man at the back realised there was something stuck around the propeller. Our trip came almost to an immediate halt, but the standard boater's trick of a blast of hard reverse thrust cleared the blockage, and we were immediately on our way again. The area the team were to tackle was just a few hundred yards away, but that meant first descending through 2 locks. So here's a quick bit of canal cruising for you. The great thing about having a team is that getting through the locks is a breeze. Paddle 1 up to start the water draining. And paddle 2 to make it empty faster. One lock down, 1 more to go. And even a bit of traffic, rare in winter, as another boat crossed our path heading into the lock that we left open for them. The team had the second lock dealt with in a flash. And while the boat descended, some of the crew got off with tools to start the first of the day's cutbacks. a tree needed a bit lopping off high overhead. Health and safety demands a sign, of course, to warn pedestrians. As the cutting began, Phil explained the plan.
We're basically cutting back any vegetation that's overhanging the towpath, taking it down to approximately 3 metres in height and cutting it back to the existing hedges. Chipping it where we can. If we can't, we're putting it into habitat piles in the bottom of the hedgerows. We're also taking offside vegetation off, but only where it's impeding navigation.
Immediately, branches started falling as the volunteers wielded their petrol-driven pole, with me keeping a decent distance, notwithstanding my stylish protective headwear. Initially, the boat hung around in the lock, with the crew pondering whether to cut this tree back as well, but with it causing no bother, it was left in situ. Thus the boat edged forward to join the team again. As Phil had explained, many of the cut twigs and branches are simply popped back into the hedge. They're perfectly out of the way there and will rot down of their own accord in time. Large chunks of fallen tree got sliced and diced with hand tools. And the pathway was raked clear. The man with the motorised pole was making good progress, leaving a splendid wake of chaos for the team to clear up. An unexpectedly sunny day, this was no chore at all. Slowly but surely they moved along, cutting back the trees and hedges, keeping the towpath clear for everyone who uses it, boater or otherwise. They are volunteers, but there's a strict process to go through before being allowed to handle the dangerous stuff.
We had to be trained in the use of the pole saw, which was a full day with assessment. We had to be trained in the use of the chipper. One of the trust operatives trained us in the use of the hedge cutter. We then have to be CATS assessed, competence assessments, done however often it requires to be done. The helms, they were trained using the RYA scheme, and then because of age, once you become a certain age, you have to have a medical every 12 months. So they've been through that medical quite recently, Stan and Dave, who are our two helms that are here today. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a rigorous training. I mean, we had to learn how to strip the pole saw down completely, apart from the engine, how to manage with chains that break, how to sharpen chains and all the rest of it. It's quite complex, but enjoyable.
Every half hour or so the team would move along, being sure to take the safety sign with them, of course. And the boat would chug gently into position in case the chipper became needed, or indeed a flask of tea. A particularly dense section of overgrowth presented itself, so new tools were handed out amongst the team, and the clearance began. Some trees proved to be resistant to cutting. It wasn't having any of it. But a hefty yank with a rake saw the recalcitrant branch felled. With so much wood, it became time to fire up the big gun, the chipper, so the boat needed to be secured to land. Along this section of canal, there's no clear point to pull into or tie to, so the crew banged mooring pins into the soggy ground and looped the bow and stern lines around them. The chipper was activated and its gnarly teeth prepared to munch on woody goodness. And like a stomach after a dodgy prawn, the recently ingested material was soon vomited out in projectile form. You really would not want to put your fingers into that thing if this is what it can do to a solid tree branch. Every last bit of the fallen timber was scoured from the ground and thrown into the voracious machine. Finally, as before, the resulting chips were scooped back off the path and into the hedge. After all that extensive effort and an early start, it was time for a tea break, so I spoke to the newest recruit and asked why he'd got involved.
We had a share in a boat for 13 years and I'd seen volunteers operating some of the locks, and I said that when I retired I'd like to join them, and that's exactly what I did this year. Well, this is only my second time of doing it, and luckily it was weather like this last week and it's gorgeous. It's just being outside in the fresh air, good bunch of blokes having a good laugh and having a good time, to be honest. It's hard work but enjoyable.
Tea break finished, the boat pushed off once more and the team moved along to the next section that needed attention. With the occasional waterside obstruction being given a haircut every now and then as well. Phil explained that occasionally they're joined by corporate groups on team bonding days out.
We even had some people come out with us, I think it was 2 years ago, that were doing a day out from their work, and they were worked in an abattoir in Wolverhampton, and they just wanted, one of these days out that the company gives them, and they loved it. They were able to use the loppers and things like that, but that's as far as it went. But yeah, we have a great time. I really like it.
And so the team carried on into the distance. But
if you are a boater, you may well now be screaming at your screen shouting, yes, 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 it's all very well making it nice for the pedestrians and the anglers and the joggers and the dog walkers and the people with pushchairs and the cyclists and everyone else on the towpath. But what about the boaters? What about all the stuff that comes over the water and obstructs our view and scratches our paintwork as we go along? Well, don't worry, they've got that covered too.
Not a million miles away, on the Coventry Canal at Polesworth, a professional team of contractors had been engaged by the Canal and River Trust to speed along the northernmost section of this canal, specifically removing overhanging and overgrown plants on the offside. The volunteers had been doing this 2 years ago, but COVID intervened, and now the approach is to get this finished by bringing in the pros. They're working to a specific brief.
Generally it's already pre-marked, so we get a job sheet that comes through. So throughout the towpath you might be able to spot little orange marks or whatever colour it might be for the canal that as it gets marked up. So we'll get a job sheet saying it might be fell large ash or something like this, and we'll go along the canal and there'll be a spray paint mark on the towpath side, and opposite will be the tree. We work off the front of a pan, so a flatbed little boat that we ratchet onto the side of our main boat, which we kind of just cut off that, or if we can stand on the bank on the other side, then we'll stand on the side as well. Obviously, providing we've got somewhere with decent footing. And then we clear everything out the water just with a fork or a rake or something after, and generally either chip it through the chipper or put it back onto the offside if it's just brambles.
Like the volunteers at Fradley, a range of tools is used.
We've got hedge cutters, chainsaws, pole saws as well. So yeah, we use a lot of different tools really. So it's a lot of swapping and changing between them as where we need them, and where we see fit to use particular tools. Obviously, that's where we get our money's worth for knowing as and when to use those tools.
You can see this bit of canal narrows here to just one boat's width. A long time ago there was a swing bridge here, which is why it narrowed. Taking your boat through here when the brambles and spiky bits scrape along the paintwork is painful, so the team are ensuring it all gets thoroughly cut back. Peer closely enough into the foliage and you can just make out the metal remains of the bridge. Although canal maintenance is carried out all year round, this kind of work tends to be done in winter when there's much less movement of boats.
We generally do it between the months of October and kind of February time with nesting birds. So we only generally do the boat work over winter months to allow for the nesting birds. Obviously everything after that has to get surveyed before doing anything. We do ecological surveys each morning before we start, so kind of see if there's any nesting birds around the area or just generally birds that are within the place. So yeah, we'll be doing it for about 6 months. So it's pretty relentless, but not too bad.
In order to get their own pair of boats through the narrow gap, a bit of manual reshuffling takes place, with the flatbed pan leading the motorboat. But after that, the process is the same. Slash at the branches with the power tools and chip the offcuts. Progress each day depends on the circumstances.
It varies on the work, essentially, as to how much we can do. So, say if we've got a large or an oversized tree, it might take a couple of hours, few hours for us to get done. It varies on the size of the work. So, if the spec work, which is just the hedge cutting and trimming everything back, it might not take too long to make up a couple of 100 yards. Whereas if you're doing a tree, that's where your time goes. So you might be able to get 5 or 6 trees and a bit of spec work done throughout a day, depending on the size.
Just 100 yards or so back along the canal, there was clear evidence of exactly that kind of job. A newly created tree stump and a pile of logs. I'm told eager boaters tend to snap these up quickly for their stoves, some even trailing the workboats so as to ensure a good supply for winter. Just as I was preparing to leave, another workboat hove into view, prompting the contractors to move out of the way as they do for any oncoming craft. Then they'll move on to the next marked spot and begin there, leaving this old canal crossing a much cleaner place to pass through. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.